which basically means
It's
private
just,
session, right?
no, it's
No?
not, it's public. It's just there isn't voting. So it's more for deliberation.
Okay.
There may
Every
be
member should see it,
presentations
right,
and
that's-
deliberations that take place during that time, not action, voting.
Well, it is 6 o'clock. We do have a quorum. Why don't we get started? Hereby call this meeting of the Delta Township Zoning Board of Appeals to order. First item of business, pledge of allegiance. Please rise and join me. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And roll call. Arking, that's me here. Mr. Corey.
Here.
Mr. Kaltenbeck. Not here. Ms. Parr. Not here. Mr. McConnell. Present. Ms. Coscarella.
Awesome.
And is Ms. Wharton
She is officially resigned.
retired? Okay, okay. Mr. Scott.
Here.
We're going to show you a quorum. Next item of business is approval of the agenda. I'll entertain a motion to do that.
So moved.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, the motion is adopted as presented. Next item is citizen comments for items not on the agenda. Are there any citizen comments for items not on the agenda? Hearing none, moving on. Correspondence, gentlemen, have we had any correspondence on this or anything other matter?
Not today.
Okay, thank you. Approval of the July 9th, 2024 meeting minutes. Move approval.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, the minutes are accepted as presented. That brings us to the public hearings. I guess we'll do one, at least the first one separately. Case number PV 24-09 at 4930 South Crates Road, Lansing. Variance from section 12.03.B2. David, would you please introduce the request?
Right, so the applicant is requesting relief from 12.03B2 refuse and recycling containers to permit a waste bin to be located within the defined front yard area adjacent to Empire Way street frontage. And if we're just go over some definitions, so we're all on the same page. Subject property has 3 front yards: Kreitz Road, Lansing Road, and Empire Way. And the way the zoning ordinance defines the front yard is the area between the building and then also the street frontage. So in this instance, if we look at the submitted plan, kind of drawing a line showing, you know, because of the 3 frontages, this is the only area that's not considered, you know, within the front yard. The applicant is proposing to, or has a desire to put their refuse container bin and in the southwest corner. If they were to follow ordinance, it would have to go, you know, somewhere within these red lines. We've seen plans that show that this would be their, you know, secondary location if the variance were not to be approved today.
Any questions for staff? Is it correct that this was not actually a requirement and that's until just recently, a few years ago, right?
It's in the 2017 zoning ordinance.
2017,
Yeah.
okay. I guess it's, I didn't go out and look, but my guess is we could probably find examples from previous to 2017 where the recycle bins are inside the.
In, you know, the general area, the industrial park, you know, behind them, I saw 2 examples within Delta Township where the refuse bin is adjacent to the roadway. Also the Wendy's, which is just southwest of this property, but actually not in Delta Township, you know, but most people wouldn't realize that, would also have the dumpster, next to the road.
But this is not in.
Well, that's the line is right there.
Okay. Stop giving my money.
Any other
So-
question? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, but this is a question for the applicant. So what was,
We have to open the public hearing.
oh, okay,
I move to open the public hearing.
support.
It's the time. Motion for public hearing has support. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, the public hearing is open. Is there anybody from the public that would like to speak to this variance request?
The applicant.
That may.
Yep. If you wouldn't mind, please state your name and address for the record.
Good afternoon. My name is Jeff Haddad. I'm from 4930 Kreitz Road. I appreciate you taking another Tuesday to meet with me. I know this has been 3 in a row now, but third time's the charm. So as far as the dumpster variance goes, I know you've got the letter, but I'd like to read it anyway. Tailgaters takes great pride in the design and function of our sites that we develop. Every piece of equipment is scrutinized to find its highest and best use. I'm requesting variance to place our dumpster pad within what is by ordinance considered to be our front yard. This site is unique in that we hold 3 frontages, as David mentioned. The image below shows where our dumpster pad would be allowed by the ordinance if we had to follow that. No matter how much attention we place onto keeping a tidy dumpster corral, the sights and smells will never fully be contained. Dumpster areas tend to attract rodents, bees, and other pests. The most logical place for the dumpster pad, in my opinion, is at the rear of the site, furthest away from entry points into the food establishment. The idea our dumpster corral would be an eyesore driving down Empire Way would not be an issue. We build the nicest dumpster corrals money can buy. They're built using matching block from our main facility, and the door slats are made using composite wood that won't deteriorate the way wood typically would. We have trees surrounding the area, creating a natural screen. And I have the utmost confidence that not one person would ever drive down Empire Way and be put off by the placement of our dumpster corral. I appreciate your consideration of the request. What questions can I answer?
Mr. McConnell, let me go.
Yeah. So I think you may have answered it. So your rationale for not putting it within the red lines, which would be, as I look at the picture to the right of where you're currently recommending, is it would be too close to the food?
Correct. So within the next month or so, you're going to see bees just constantly buzzing over our dumpsters. They love the sweet sugar, trash smell. There's going to be bees and obviously mice and rodents are all going to be attracted by that. Not to mention the unpleasant smells that come from a dumpster area. You know, my goal is just to provide the nicest facility possible for the residents of Delta Township. And I think it would be a nice touch to keep the smells and other unpleasantries away from the place where there's going to be a lot of activity at that drive-through window.
Mr. Chair? Yeah, just a question for you. I know we've had previous discussions about landscaping and trees and shrubs, and you
Yep.
talk about trees being around this. And just wondered if you could remind us, because I know, you know, the diagram that shows, well, that's up on our screen, showing the limited under our current zoning requirements, the limited space that you have to locate the dumpster, if you're complying with that. Can you just remind us kind of, because this diagram does not have those trees and shrubs located, kind of what's planned? Because then in the photos you shared, there aren't trees and shrubs around those dumpsters, so
It looks like David's ahead of us.
oh, you pulling that? Can you overlay that? I do feel-
They already had the dumpster located, so
Oh, on that version.
Yeah, so there'd be two trees to the north and then a series of 4 to the south of it. With masonry, walls to Empire Way, and then the doors would be that way.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Thanks.
Any other questions or comments from board members? So, Jeff, is there, Mr. Haddad, is there anything, more that can be done to keep bees down if they're gonna be that much of a, constant presence, during the summer? I don't know if we want a big beehive by the road either, or by the sidewalk.
This property received a variance for sidewalks.
That's right. So, I mean, I assume they're gonna have lids that close and seal the thing up, right?
Correct. Yeah, Duncan requires that we keep the lids closed at all times.
Any other questions or comments from board members? Then I would entertain a motion to, do you have anything else to add?
I don't believe so.
Yeah, I would entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Support.
Motion on the floor to support, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, public hearing is closed.
Mr. Chair,
Skip Scarella.
I'm prepared to make a motion unless there's a need for further discussion.
Discussion on,
I move that the Delta Township Zoning Board of Appeals approve the request variance from section 12.03 B .2 in case number PB 24-09 for the following reason. The applicant has demonstrated the proposed variance request satisfies the review criteria contained in section 1504 B and C of the zoning ordinance.
Support.
got a motion on the floor, it has support, so I'll for a roll call vote. Mr. Arking, yes. Mr. Corey,
Yes.
Mr. McConnell,
Yes.
Ms. Cascarella,
Yes.
Mr. Skiles. Yes. That motion is passed. If please advise the applicant of next steps for that particular case.
So you did receive approval for that, for the dumpster variance. All I ask is that it gets a note be put on the final site plan, so we have it.
Yep, sounds good. Thank you.
Okay. That brings us to the next case, case number PV 24-10 at the same address. I'll read the section variances requested from. Dave, would you please introduce this series of requests?
Sure, so this is a variance to allow light intensity levels beyond what is typically permitted under our zoning ordinance. The variance summary was written very specifically to align with the most intense points on the submitted photometric plan that you received in part of your packet. With the idea that something this specific would not be a carte blanche variance for, for every single light to exceed what we typically allow. And that we would really focus in on the specific points of the submitted plan, which exceed our typically permitted light intensity levels. So it's a 4-part variance. The first one is a variance from section 12.05 A2A freestanding pole lighting to permit the intensity of light at the base of a pole to be up to 14.6 foot candles when the ordinance requires 10-foot candles. 2, a variance from section 12.05 A2B to allow a light intensity at the property line of up to 3.4 foot candles on the west property line, 2.0 foot candles on the north property line, 1.1 foot candles at the east and southeast property lines. 3, a variance from section 12.05 B1 non-residential building mounted lighting to permit the intensity of light to exceed 10-foot candles up to A, 76.7-foot candles under the proposed northern fuel pump awning, and B, 56-foot candles under the southeastern awning, and C, 13.2-foot candles and 11-foot candles along the northeast wall of the convenience building. And finally, 4, a variance for section 12.05B2, non-residential building mounted lighting to permit a light intensity of up to 6.0 foot candles at the property line when the ordinance requires 0.5 foot candles.
Thank you. Any questions for staff and board members? Is it your understanding that these lights are designed to cast light down rather than?
Yeah, they still have full cutoff fixtures. It's just when you place LED lights so close together and then cover them, it effectively becomes one large light, even though it's, you know, comprised of, I believe, 6 or 8 individual LEDs in the plan. And I made sure to, you know, I worked with the applicant's engineering firm or architectural firm, and none of the lights themselves exceed 10-foot candles individually. But when put together under the canopy is especially when you get the intensity of the light. But interestingly enough, LED light differs from incandescent light where the foot candle travel isn't as far. So that's why you can see such a sharp drop off when it goes from, you know, 20-foot candles right at the perimeter to about 5 and then, you know, lower than that.
And follow up to that, just for my own education, because I really don't know. Is there, well, let me phrase it this way. Is there anything I need to know about how the standards in the ordinance were selected? Why 10-foot candles? How do we know anything about it? How that was at that?
You know, the ordinance was driven by the firm which was contracted to create it. They were standards, you know, that they felt were useful in previous communities that they worked in. I'm not sure if, you know, the township ever really figured out, you know, what a perfect intensity of light would be. I think in, you know, generally speaking, it's been very successful. There's only been 2 instances where we've had light intensity variances, and those that just have been in the last 6 months. And I've been here for 8.5 years. The ordinance has been going since 2017, which is, you know, a large portion of that. So generally speaking, I believe it is working. There are just specific instances where, you know, the variance process allows us to take an individual look at the specific parcel and see exactly what's going on.
Appreciate that. Thanks.
Question. So the ordinance, was it written for the incandescent and not the LED, or?
Not necessarily. That's just
Because if there's differences between the way that the light comes out of them.
I don't necessarily know if that much thought. I'm just kind of a lighting nerd, if you will. So, you know, I kind of, and you know, that's one of the areas of planning that I kind of get into. So that's just a random fact I know about LED lighting opposed to incandescent.
But no, at the end of the day, it's still about intensity. It's intended to work for either type, incandescent bulbs or LED bulbs.
Any other questions for staff? Staff comments? Oh.
Yes. Yeah, it's along the line of your question. So what is the impact of the increase lighting?
Basically, it'll be brighter than what we typically allow. If you look in the report, I was able to find some resources on the internet from LED supplier, lumenrite.com, which kind of gave a scale of places that you could kind of envision the brightness of. So from 40 to 49 foot candles, comparisons were made to a classroom or a residential garage. From 50 to 64, comparisons were a high school gym or a grocery store. 65 to 79, and this is the, I believe 76.7 is what the applicant is proposing at the north canopy. A big box store, probably like a Costco or a Walmart, or, you know, a woodworking shop. And then 80 to 95 would be a hockey stadium or a medical exam room. So, you know, it'll be a bright light. I don't think it'll be off-putting, but you'll definitely be able to see, you know, what's going on, which I would imagine is probably, you know, Mr. Head had talked in length about his desire for a safe business, especially when dealing with business hours after 11 p.m. I'm assuming it's more along the lines of, you know, the reason why he believes 70, you know, this level of intensity is warranted.
Was, thank you, was part of the assumption, the impact on surrounding properties in a commercial district?
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?
Was part of the assumption, the impact on adjoining properties in a commercial district?
The assumption of why the ordinance was set at.
Yes.
Yes, I would say so. But for instance, in Delta Township, I'd also point out that industrial users don't have the same standards that commercial users do. So whereas, you know, often these lighting standards would work well along Saginaw Highway and ultimately have, the area where Mr. Haddad is proposing his business is very different. It is definitely an industrial sector and you know, this is an island of commercial surrounded by industrial users.
Yeah, that was the basis of my question.
Suggest a possible future area for amendment, but yeah. Any other questions for staff or comments? Okay, if not, I would entertain a motion to open the public hearing, and I would encourage members to consider all of these 4 variances for lighting collectively, unless someone wants to separate them out.
So moved for combining them.
And for opening the public.
And opening the public hearing.
Yes.
So
Support.
I like a support from Ms. Cusparella too.
Yeah.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I just want to make sure I know what I'm voting on.
No motion yet. That was just open the public hearing.
Okay.
Just open the public.
Okay, got it.
And a concurrence with recommendation to move all 4 variances, lighting variances, yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Hi.
Opposed? Hearing none. Thank you. Mr. Haddad, do you care to speak to these lighting variance requests?
Yes, please. My name is Jeff Haddad. I'm from 4930 South Kreitz Road in Lansing. So I appreciate you taking my variance request for the lighting. My first comment is I'm nervous about combining all 4 of the variances into one motion. If you're, the main reason is number 4 is very, very important. Without variance number 4, that would cause, I'd be unable to light the northernmost diesel pump. There would be 0 lights over that. And so sufficient lighting is very important for gas stations, where everybody's natural first choice to pull off the highway and seek shelter. And if there's an emergency, changing a flat tire in the dark is not fun. Trying to put fluids in a vehicle when you can't see what cap you're pulling off is not a great situation either. We're dealing with hazardous chemicals and combustible materials. If there is a spill, then we need to attend to that spill quickly and effectively. We need to clean it up before it, say, contaminates the watershed. Adequate lighting deters crime. I employ roughly 20 miners at each of the locations, and a lot of those shifts start pre-dawn for much of the year. Back to the variance number 4. What is your thoughts on keeping the variances separate? As I mentioned, that one in particular is just very, very important that I'm hoping we can either, what's your thoughts on that?
I will say that, as the chair's discretion of doing that from time to time, I offer it as a friendly suggestion for someone that might be willing to recommend all four of the variances. If someone wanted to make it known now that they were going to object to one of them, then possibly that omnibus approach wouldn't work. But can speak for other members.
Yeah, my assumption was that it was a friendly amendment to just expedite the
Gotcha.
approval.
Okay.
Right.
Okay, I understand.
You're in clear.
Did you want to elaborate on this handout you gave us?
So those are the max book handles at our other locations. I'd probably not like to comment on those any further, I guess. I don't,
But these are your shops.
correct.
Not competing businesses.
Exactly, those are ours. I was providing those for reference in case you had questions about what was typical underneath a gas canopy.
Out of curiosity, can you tell me, did you have to get variances to obtain any of these standards?
No, no, this is my first variance for lighting.
Any questions for the applicant? Any further comments?
Nope. I appreciate your consideration.
Then I would entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none. Public hearing is closed. Feel free to relax and take a seat if you wish.
Thank you.
So, board members, I would entertain a motion if anybody has a inclination to make one or further discussion. Lighting only.
Mr. Chair,
Mr. McConnell.
I'm actually prepared to make a motion. Admittedly, I don't know how much lighting is too much and what's not enough. But it seems to be some merit in elevating the lighting. So I move to support, to approve the requested variances from the respective sections with the lighting level shown on the plan submitted by Jeffrey H. Scott Architects, dated 4/4/24 and revised 7/11/24 for the following reason. The applicant has demonstrated the proposed variance request satisfies review criteria contained in section 1504B and C of the zoning ordinance, with the condition that the lighting intensity does not exceed the proposed plan.
Support.
Nice. On the floor, it has support. Roll call vote for this. Mr. Argy, me, yes. Mr. Corey,
Yes.
Mr. McConnell,
Yes.
Ms. Coscarella,
Yes.
and Mr. Skiles.
Yes.
Motion is passed unanimously. Dave, please advise Mr. Haddad of what his next steps are for this variance request, variance approval.
So you can resubmit this plan as part of your final site plan submission. Again, just making notation of the variance for record keeping on the plan.
Thank you all very much. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Good luck. Yeah,
Thanks.
and welcome to town.
Yeah,
When do you expect your opening to be?
that's a good question. As quickly as possible. We're eager to get started. I'll be calling Peter and David tomorrow to discuss when we can get out of planning and then move out of the building. Looking for. We're ready.
Fantastic.
Godspeed.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Brings us to other business. Is there any other business? Welcome Peter Skiles, our new alternate. Hearing none, moving on. Staff comments on any subject.
No comments really right now. If you're not all aware of the MSU Extension offers a zoning certificate program. I don't know if this group has considered that before. It's $125. I have training money in our planning budget. If anyone's interested, that I can send an email around to everyone. I'm thinking about doing it myself, so that's why I
That's a
thought.
great idea.
But if there's any interest in that, it's self-paced online modules. I've done other MSU extension trainings and always found them really helpful. It's kind of just like a all-encompassing session. And you can do it, it's videos that you can watch at your own pace at home.
I did it 14 years ago and it wasn't video then, but I think it'd probably be a useful refresher and I would recommend it to anybody.
Do you know how many hours it is total?
I
Just was curious.
was just looking at it though.
Is it the citizen planner one?
Yeah. Yeah.
Probably about 12,
Okay.
because they also offer it at.
Yeah, there's 6 modules, 6 hours. Oh, it's approved for 6 hours. It doesn't say here. I'll send it around tomorrow.
But probably not more than 6 then.
I wouldn't think so. I did the zoning board, the zoning administrator one, and it was reasonably, time wise.
And just mentally preparing for what I'm committing to.
Yeah, so I'll send it along with some bullet points, the email.
Great.
That's a great resource. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
And there's group discounts if we get more than a couple. So maybe I'll join it with you. We can all do it together, separately, but together. That's it. We don't have any other variance requests on the docket as of now. So we'll advise if that changes.
Actually, we might with the floodplain.
Okay, well, we don't know the timing of that yet, so we'll advise if we have any.
What's going on with the floodplain?
We're working with a potential applicant about a floodplain variance of structure in the floodplain.
Okay.
Over our floodplain maps from the US, have they been recently updated?
The USGS did, the last update I saw was in like 2008 or something.
Yeah, I was gonna
I think
say,
that's still the same.
2008?
Yeah.
Standard.
Barring, I mean, on-site investigation will tell you more information, but that's the baseline data.
Interesting. Anything else, gentlemen?
No, that's all for us.
Board comments or questions for staff? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Hearing none, we're adjourned.
Wasn't a